Mr. Chair, if you still remember Rendon Labrador, yung sa Facebook, marami siyang inawit, kinagalit eh. Inalis po siya ng Facebook eh. Maybe we can ask Facebook or TikTok, any resource person from TikTok and Facebook.
And we only need to give you due process. And what we're doing now is the due process to amend, to repeal, or to revoke the franchise.
Mr. Chair.
I respect the
In a situation katulad nito at the fact na naisulat dito ang gagawin kapag may ganitong sitwasyon, ibig sabihin nun, anticipated ninyo na nangyayari ito all the time. Kaya nga maganda, di ba Mr. Chair, na nakalinaw anong gagawin kasi anticipated.
Penalty given to any talent that has a show?
Mr. Chairman. If I may,
Yes,
Congressman,
please proceed.
meron pong, number one, I just want to put on record that immediately after we received the cease and desist order from the National Telecommunications Commission, we have never violated transmission on digital channel 43 and all other format under the supervision of the National Telecommunications Commission. Now, going back to the question of Congressman Paul, Mr. Chairman, we have, as a matter of fact, in the case of Mr. Eric Celis, when he admitted, we conducted an internal investigation. However, the internal investigation was preempted when he appeared before this committee and admitted or uttered a statement that in effect is an admission of a violation. So we immediately imposed the maximum sanction provided for under the Manual of Operations of the Suarasug Media Corporation, Mr. Chair.
So,
Which was? Can you, which was, what was the?
Which was suspension, Mr.
How long?
10 days, Mr. Chairman.
and Mr. Chair,
Maximum yan, 10 days. Maximum penalty para 10 days. Go ahead.
and that's the maximum?
No, Mr. Chairman, yes, over the last several days, we have amended some portions of our manual for disciplining employees. And we have imposed a varying sanctions with the maximum of expulsion or termination of services.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Sonza.
So, okay.
Dasa, you still have
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, thank you for sharing that information. That helps this particular representation balance things. So I'm curious, was that sanction done before or after the video showed by the Honorable Raul Manuel?
With respect to the video presented by the Honorable Manuel, Mr. Chairman, I'm not quite certain whether this video were called from the social media platform, because as I said in the beginning, from the time we received the suspension order and the CDO, we ceased to transmit any broadcast on the regulated transmission platform as provided for in the franchise of the Suarasug Media Corporation, Mr. Chairman.
To clarify, so that video was done on a personal basis?
No, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I wish the Honorable Manuel can clarify where he called that video, whether that was from a broadcast through free to air or from the social media platform.
Sige, Mr. Chair, can we have Honorable Manuel clarify on that?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, the video was posted in the online accounts of SMNI on January 9, 2024.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So it appears now it was still in compliance with the NTC. We did not air it on transmitted platform on free to air. It
So-
was on social media platform.
So was it before or after your sanction, your 10-day suspension?
After.
It was done after the 10-day suspension. So something like that, may I ask, what would your plans be? You sanctioned him 10 days, and then you saw the video. What action can the company now take?
The sanction refers to free to air. The sanction, social media kasi, hindi po namin pwedeng sagkain yung mga personal na ano nila, na pronouncement nila.
Pero Mr. Chair, talent po ninyo. Kasi after the 10-day suspension, you're paying him again.
No, we're not airing, Mr. Chairman.
No, my question was not airing. My question is, what positive action will you take after you spend, I think is he an employee? How do you call him? A contractual, talent, or whatever?
He's a talent, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry,
He's a talent.
talent. Okay. So he has some sort of financial relationship with the company. You have supervision with that talent. You suspended it for 10 days. You were suspended by NTC, and then you see a video like that. I mean, I'm in the minority. I'm not here to defend the speaker, but having seen what Congressman Manuel showed in the video, I think it hurts the institution, not just the speaker. I'm defending the institution. So my question is, not whether you're going to air it. So what sanction would you take now? Because it's germane to the issue, whether you deserve to be revoked or not. So it's a management decision. Do you deserve to continue your franchise? It's not a hard question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, after I saw the video that was presented by the Honorable Manuel, I have called the attention of the chair of the editorial board. If it warrants, we will conduct another investigation and impose the necessary amended sanction as may be required.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. But it also highlights the fact that you're not really able to monitor your talent, because it should not have taken a committee hearing to get a statement like that. Correct, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, as I said earlier, when matters does not, kung halimbawa po yung airing niya na nagkataon sa Channel 43, which is under the supervision of the National Telecommunications and pursuant to the franchise issued by the Honorable House, we will certainly take cognizance immediately. But since this is a social media platform,
January 24.
wala po kaming wala po.
Huh?
Ang recommend nga po ng aming law department, mga legal is kung may complainant, filean po ng kaso sila at papapanagutin po namin sila sa batas.
Sige, Mr. Chair. Fair enough. That episode was January 9th. To this particular member of the House, it's crystal clear to me that you need to have better monitoring and guidelines and disciplining your talent. Okay? I'll leave it at that because I have more questions.
For that, Mr. Chair,
Sige, Mr. Chair, I'll allow Attorney Tolentino to respond to that.
that January 2024 program, Mr. Chair, is just a form of a question. It's not a statement again, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
It was a question, Mr. Chair, not a statement. I forgot, Mr. Chair, but it's a form of a question, Mr. Chair, not
Mr. Chair.
a statement. And granting it as a statement, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair,
granting
I'll
it's a
handle it.
statement, that is a personal opinion
Well,
Mr. Chair, okay, no,
are we referring to the same video?
yes,
Because
Mr.
I
Chair,
don't, I didn't
anyway,
see any question there.
Mr. Chair, I have the floor. You're entitled to your opinion, and the fact that you had to say that, instead of, I wanted an opportunity for me to help SMNI. Now, with that statement, it just irks me. Instead of getting a no vote on revoking the franchise, you're defending it by saying it, nagpapalusot. You didn't have to do that, di ba? I don't think you're doing a good service as to this particular issue for SMNI. Whether it was in a formal statement, you're defending it, di ba? Anyway,
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
That's clear.
yeah, because I don't know if we're voting today or it's going to be more hearings. It hurts me when people lose work. And I'm trying to find reasons not to support this particular House Bill 9710, but they're not helping. Anyway, let me move forward. I wanted clarity from any of the resource persons because I wanted to continue the line of Congresswoman Brosas, Chairman Paduano. I was somewhat surprised when NTC said that they can, let's say, shut down a website or whatever it is online, provided there's a determination from a law enforcement agency. So my question is, if let's say there's a website or a social media account that's advocating violence, or some sort of an account or site advocating drugs, di ba? Do you actually have to wait? Do you have the power to immediately make a decision? Kunyari, may website selling drugs, di ba? I think all of us will agree that's not acceptable. Would you have to wait for the PNP or the NBI to make a determination for you to shut down that website? Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if ever there is such thing, what we can do is we can take cognizance of such an activity online, and we would deem it more appropriate to refer it to appropriate agencies to determine such the actions being shown online. We'll take cognizance of it, Mr. Chair, and bring it to the attention of appropriate agencies who may be able to evaluate it more thoroughly before we take action.
Okay, so meaning, Mr. Chair, NTC, motu proprio, cannot shut down anything online, correct? You would have to refer to someone else.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if we referring to if we are to go back po kasi dun sa mandate ng NTC, the mandate
I understand. It's a yes or a no. So am I correct?
at this right now, Your Honor, we are unable to
Okay. Are there any government agencies that have the power to do that in their mandate? So let's say porn sites, trafficking sites, drug sites, and dami po niyan eh. I've been told that many of the sites, social media accounts are being closed. So who's doing that?
Specific to your example, Your Honor, on say porn sites or similar sites like that. In this particular case, there's the OSAIC, no? The online sexual exploitation and abuse. These are these are these are laws that provide guidelines that these are illegal or unauthorized. So there are bases for us to take action on that once the appropriate agencies are able to determine such violations taking place online. Same is true like with also like ISA.
Okay, so on certain, so it's criminal activity specific. If there are certain laws that enable you to do that, like trafficking or sexual, what did you say, sexual
Online sexual abuse and
abuse,
exploitation. That's
you can on your own shut them down.
that is upon the determination of the appropriate agency enforcing the law,
Aren.
Mr. Chair. Opo.
Does DICT have the power also to shut down certain online sites?
In this instances, Mr. Chair, it was the NTC that it was coursed to the
So
NTC.
NTC. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Mr. Chair, I came a little late. I saw on the resource person list, SEC. With your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, can I ask the SEC, because I remember in previous hearings, there were allegations of charter violations, franchise violations, corporate. So can the SEC share any findings that we've had since then?
Mr. Chair, based on the records that we submitted to the Honorable Committee, the SEC found that there were some violations for failure to comply with the reportorial requirements. And this is the main mandate of the SEC in regards or as regards the regulation of existing corporation. And our records also show that we have already penalized the corporation for these findings of violation, Mr. Chair.
Well, okay. I mean, a lot of corporations do that and you just penalize them and they pay the penalty. So there's nothing more serious that's been uncovered by SEC other than late filing of mandatory reports.
So far, Mr. Chair, that is the case with the subject corporation, Mr. Chair.
Okay. For the MTRCB, let's say the complaint was found, it was final, executory, the complaint was valid. What steps can MTRCB do? The Honorable Paduano asked, and it's been appealed, but let's just say that there was a final decision, let's say against, what can MTRCB do?
If there is a complaint, Your Honor, we refer it to our adjudication and hearing committee. But if we already have a decision, Your Honor, final and executory, Honor, we our monitoring and inspection unit monitors the said TV program or movie from showing or yes, Your Honor, from showing. But we actually just
did that.
we actually just sorry, Your Honor, we just actually found out that we can actually if there is a final and executory decision, we can actually endorse it to the NTC to help us in assisting us in the implementation of the cancellation of said movie or TV program in all media platforms.
Oh, okay, and so you would be considered a law enforcement agency that could make the final determination. So NTC can now do what needs to be done. Okay, my last question, Mr. Chair. Would the NTC or any of the resource persons know, other than ABS-CBN, which was different, ABS, their franchise expired and was not renewed. In this case, for this particular House Bill 9710, it's an existing franchise, and the House Bill is advocating for revocation. In the history of our country, has there ever been any legislative franchise for radio, TV that has been revoked? Would you have that historical record? Or anyone, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, may I reply? Based on the records of the KBP since its inception in 1974 and the start of the issuance of legislative franchise, there is no incidence of Congress revoking a franchise. As correctly pointed out, Your Honor, the case of ABS-CBN referred to non-renewal.
Thank you for that. Mr. Chair, can I ask KBP, would you be aware of any, let's say, outside the Philippines, other countries? And what would be the standard? What would be sufficient justification? Are there any international good practices that we can share to guide members on whether to support or not this particular bill?
I may stand corrected on this, Your Honor. But the regulatory environment in different jurisdictions is different from the Philippines, where a legislative franchise is a condition for the issuance of a broadcast license. In fact, that was the situation in the Philippines pre-martial law, where the Broadcast Media Council were issuing broadcast licenses to operate radio and television stations. It was only post-martial law where the legislative franchise was required for a franchisee to be able to get a permit from the NTC. In the United States, the regime is different. The radio and television licenses are issued by the FCC, but there's no requirement for a legislative franchise. That is also, to my recall, Your Honors, that is also true in other countries in Asia, that a legislative franchise is not required.
Are there any countries, Mr. Chair, that's similar to the Philippines that requires a congressional franchise?
Unfortunately, I'm not aware of any, Your Honors.
Okay, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for your sharing that information. Would the NTC know, has there ever been a similar franchise that's been revoked?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To our knowledge as well, we are not aware of any franchise that has been revoked up to this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Last one, Mr. Chair. I wanted to give Attorney Tolentino an opportunity from one lawyer to another. We learned in law school that free speech is not really free. There's a limit to it. I'm sure Attorney Supico knows that. The classic case, Mr. Chair, is you cannot shout in a crowded movie house, there's a fire, if there's no fire. Just like if I shouted right now, there's a bomb in the room, knowing that there's no bomb, that's not covered by free speech. So I'm curious, Mr. Chair, to give you an opportunity, whether it's your personal or company position, where do you draw the line?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to manifest a Supreme Court jurisprudence about legislative franchise and also in relation to a freedom of press and freedom of expression. This is not my personal opinion, but this is based on a Supreme Court jurisprudence approved by the Supreme Court last 2021. The Supreme Court said that a franchise constitutes a property right, which cannot be arbitrarily revoked or forfeited without compliance with the due process law. It means a franchise cannot be revoked or forfeited without undergoing procedure of due process, which must be observed, which necessitates notice and hearing conducted through a court trial. So not a legislative investigation, because legislative investigation is only in aid of legislation. And second, Mr. Chair, It states that the determination of the right to exercise of a franchise, whether or not to enjoy the privilege to be forfeited, shall be subject to a co-warranto proceeding in a regular court, Mr. Chair. And this is a Supreme Court jurisprudence that we believe is a proper way, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Can I, yeah, I'm winding down, Mr. Chair. Thank you for sharing that. I'm happy to hear that because I think the House, this committee has had at least 3 or 4 hearings. So in terms of due process, and I don't think that that particular Supreme Court case is really on point because we do have the power to issue, a franchise, and at the same token, we have the power to revoke. So I don't agree with that case that it has to go through the courts, but I do agree that the concept or the principle of due process is always important, and I'm happy that this committee has heard these particular issues multiple times, which I think complies with anyone's requirement on due process. But my question was, because you continue to defend your talent despite, hearing from the members, and you said earlier they have the right to file civil criminal cases. I asked about internal regulations on how you discipline talent employees. And I asked, so where do you draw the line? Obviously, Mr. Chair, if a talent says, let's burn down a Jewish temple, I don't think all of us will not be in agreement with that. That would cross the line. So how, as counsel for the company, what are your thoughts on that? I wanted to give you an opportunity because I have to be honest, Mr. Chair, I'm looking for defenses for you guys, but you didn't do a good job doing that. So I wanted to give you one opportunity, and that was my last question, Mr. Chair.
So when I say due process, Mr. Chair, it is one of the constitutional rights guaranteed under our Philippine Constitution. Yes, we agree with Congressman Daza that is not absolute. There are certain limitations. But granting that there is limitation, there is a latest jurisprudence of the Supreme Court that in case any rulings, decisions of any government agency that affects the freedom of press and freedom of expression, there is a presumption that that government agency's ruling and decision is unconstitutional. It means the Supreme Court emphasized that the freedom of press and freedom of expression is one of the highest constitutional rights guaranteed under the Philippine Constitution. It means the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines guarantees more protection, more right with respect to the freedom of press and freedom of expression. Yes, sometimes there are irregularities, there are inaccuracy committed by the anchors of the SMNI. But granting those are inaccurate, granting that those are not 100% correct, still covered by the freedom of press and freedom of expression guaranteed by the Philippine Constitution. So therefore, Mr. Chair, in case there are violations by the anchors, there are other options like filing a case, but not to affect or to revoke the franchise, because a franchise granted by the Philippine government is already a proprietary right protected by the due process clause of the Philippine Constitution.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mark Tolentino,
Thank you for the time given me.
maraming salamat, the Honorable Daza.
And Mr. Chair, this is not my opinion, Mr. Chair.
Well,
I'm just reading the
well, it is-
jurisprudence of the Philippine Supreme Court.
Well,
Mr.
I
Chair.
think that is your opinion based on what you are reading. If you only nitpick on certain, because first of all, we don't know what case are you referring
Can I
to.
read the
Wait.
decision, Mr. Chair?
You can just give us a copy because we will definitely, we cannot ask, I don't believe that the Supreme Court will go into
GR
legislative.
number
Excuse me, Attorney Tolentino, you are not yet
Sorry,
recognized.
Mr. Chair.
Again, please, makikiusap po ko ha.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sabi ko, just give us a copy and we will study the points that you have raised. But be rest assured that this is definitely within the right of the committee to grant, amend, repeal, and revoke. At least, klaro po tayo dyan. And if you think that we're in violation of that, then you also have the right to go to the court if you want to. Like you have been asking everyone to go to court against your station and to your talents.
Thank you,
And I
Attorney
like
Chair.
the smile of the attorney Rolex Suplico. It's a very nice smile. Okay, and he's, thank you. Anyway, klaro po tayo dyan. Sa inyo na, kasi ano po nyo, magbabasa ko tayo ng pira-pirasong desisyon, hindi ko natin alam ang konteksto nung inyong sinasabi. So, and I know that, you know, the Supreme Court will not, malaki po ang paggalang po natin sa kanila at malaki naman po ang paggalang nila sa legislatura.
Thank
At
you, Mr.
hindi
Chair.
po sila sasaklaw sa kapangyarihan ng legislature. So maraming salamat. Donor, Attorney Caraps, Congressman Caraps, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. Anyway, that's the opinion position of attorney. But ito lang, attorney. Section 15 of your franchise. And binigay niya sa inyo yung prangkisa at nobody question about it. You review section 15.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're telling us is as if that you're telling us that we don't have the powers and authority to approve and revoke franchise. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung powers. Yung prangkisa nyo mismo, section 15.
Can I make a manifestation, Mr. Chair?
Hindi.
Please read, I think there's a,
Gusto
section
ko basahin mo.
Okay,
Section
Mr. Chair.
15.
Okay.
Oh,
This-
para marinig ng lahat.
This franchise shall be subject to amendment, alteration, repeal by the Congress of the Philippines when the public interest so requires, and shall not be interpreted as an exclusive grant of privileges herein provided.
Ano yan? So,
That is the law, Mr. Chair. And of course, there's also jurisprudence about that, Mr. Chair.
what jurisprudence ano nga yung sinasabi mo?
GR number 196199.
Sandali. Kasi tinanggap nitong prangkisa na to that we have the right to repeal, amend. And now you're telling us na para wala kaming karapatan.
With
Ay,
all,
tinanggap nyo yung prangkisa nyo. Now we want it to amend, to repeal, or to revoke. And we have that authority based on your franchise as a law.
with all due respect, Mr. Chair, although I respect the congressman from Iloilo, Mr. Chair, it says from Negros, Mr. Chair, it says here, Mr.
He's
Chair,
not from Iloilo.
when
He's not from
public
Iloilo.
interest so requires.
Yeah.
So who determines when the public interest so requires? So the jurisprudence, Mr. Chair.
Of course, Congress, because we are given the authority. And we only need to give you due process. And what we're doing now is the due process. To amend, to repeal, or to revoke the franchise.
Mr. Chair.
I respect the opinion of the good congressman, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. But still, the power of the Congress is subject to judicial review, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So thank you very much, Attorney Mark Tolentino.
Mr. Chair.
Hindi po tayo matapos dyan.
Mr. Chair.
Dahil kasi kung si Attorney Suplico, dito na ko po, kontrahin ka dyan.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
yun nga gusto ko
Di-
sabihin eh.
Attorney, hindi
Baka pwedeng pagsalitain si dating congressman, Suplico, at nagtataas ang kamay. Bakit di nyo pagsalitain, Mr. Chair?
Oh.
I just wanted to add something to what Congressman Dasa said. That I remember a case in Political Law 1 that's taken up during the first year of law proper. My professor was Justice Mendoza. He said that there was a case in the US that a dirty finger, when held in relation to the Vietnam War, is protected speech. That guy, that the members of the Makayan Blacks trying to stop from talking, came from the ranks. And he has a he has a mission to uncover them. That's what he said. So there's a political reason for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, the Honorable Karaps, you've stated your point. There's
Mr. Chair,
also
short.
another speaker. There's another interpreter.
About lang dun, Mr. Chair, sa
yes.
question daw na
Opo.
sinasabi. Oo. Mr. Chair, if kaya pong mai-flash po ulit yung ni-refer po kanina. Kasi Mr. Chair, pangalawang beses na rin pong narinig natin na yung mga sinasabi ng SMNI na hindi tama ay dapat lang daw palampasin kasi question. Mr. Chair, I did not imagine na dito sa Kongreso kailangan pa nating mag-lecture or magpataas ng reading comprehension skills ng ating mga resource person, Mr. Chair. Parang patunay nga talaga na may education crisis sa bansa, Mr. Chair. Kasi tingnan ba naman natin, Mr. Chair, ang subject po ng tanong na yan ang involvement ng Pangulo. Pero Mr. Chair, yung pangre-red tag sa speaker, hindi po siya naka-phrase na tanong, Mr. Chair. Kaya malinaw talaga na oo, Mr. Chair, tingnan ba naman natin yung salita, di ba? Na ang speaker daw ay kasabwat ng triumvirate na yan. So Mr. Chair, hindi po pwede na yung fake news o yung red tagging ay kinokloak natin siya as commentary or as question. Kaya Mr. Chair, ang mga media na hindi kaya mag-distinguish what is fact and what is opinion, ano yung commentary at ano yung hindi. Actually, Mr. Chair, delikado sa lipunan natin. Yun lang, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very the Honorable Manuel. The Honorable for the last interpreter, the Honorable Gutierrez.
Thank you very
Proponent
much.
of the House Bill 9710.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, kung natatandaan po natin, medyo matagal na nung huli nating hearing, ang naging issue po natin kay Casa Aalisan ay ang kanyang refusal to reveal to us yung kanyang source of information. At dahil nga doon, nagkaroon tayo ng napakaraming problema, no? At dahil din doon, ang isa sa mga nakuha po natin na documents ay yung kanilang manual. At in fairness naman, nakapag-produce naman sila ng manual. At nakita po natin doon na merong very specific guidelines kapag merong source na revealing the source may threaten or cause harm to the source. At kung pwede ko pong i-share sa inyo, ganito po ang naka-indicate sa manual. Correspondents and reporters should not hide their source of a news story unless revealing it may threaten or cause harm to the source or lead to a halt in the flow of information to the correspondent. In such cases, the source should be revealed to the highest editorial authority, who should decide whether or not to broadcast the story and take responsibility for airing it. When airing it, it is sufficient to say SSMC, SMNI was informed that, etc., etc. So, ang tanong po natin is, ginawa po ba ito ni Casa Aalisan? So, ang unang tanong, at that point in time, sino po yung highest editorial authority? Anong petsa po? Kailan po niya sinabihan itong highest editorial authority? Ano po ang ginawa ni highest editorial authority doon sa information na yan? Ano po ang naging advice ni highest editorial authority kay Casa Aalisan?
Yes, Mr. Chair, yung binasa po ni Congresswoman is for correspondents and reporters. Please take note po na si Ka Eric is not a correspondent nor a reporter. He's a commentator of program po. So yung pong kanyang ginawa sa live broadcast, nevertheless, ay dumaan po siya ng investigation, and like we said earlier, nagkaroon po siya ng 10-day suspension from
Sa
office.
ano yung kaibahan ng correspondence and a commentator?
At Mr. Chair, ibig sabihin po nun, just because iba ang tawag sa akin, hindi ako correspondent, hindi ako news anchor, ibig sabihin nun, mas mababa ang standards na ma-apply sa akin. Yun bang ibig sabihin nun? Diba? So paki-explain po, una, ano po ang pagkakaiba? Anong tawag sa kanya ulit?
Commentators po
Commentator.
sila.
Anong pagkakaiba ng commentator sa correspondent or news anchor? That's the first question. Pangalawa, ano ngayon ang standards applicable to a commentator? Wala po akong nakitang separate standards para sa commentator. In a situation katulad nito, at the fact na naisulat dito ang gagawin kapag may ganitong sitwasyon, ibig sabihin nun, anticipated ninyo na nangyayari ito all the time. Kaya nga maganda, di ba Mr. Chair, na nakalinaw anong gagawin kasi anticipated. Ibig sabihin nun, anticipated din na mangyayari ito sa mga, anong tawag sa kanila? Commentator. So sa unang tanong po, pagkakaiba ng commentator sa correspondent?
Mr. Chair. Ang unang tanong po, ang mga commentators po, ang mga news correspondents at mga news writers, sila po ay
Anchor po.
news writers o news reporters po ang nakasulat, ay nagre-report, dumadaan po sa mga editors, lahat ng kanilang isinusulat bago po ito lumabas sa TV, whereas ang mga commentators po, ang kanilang mga topics ang aming nakikita kung ano ang kanilang pag-uusapan, ngunit ang nangyayari po ng kanilang sinasabi sa live broadcast ay hindi po namin lahat masasala. At kaya
Hindi.
po nangyari na after po ng live, ay dumaan po ng proseso ng investigasyon si Ka Eric, subalit ito po ay na preempt na rin po ng investigation dito sa Kongreso, but nevertheless, ito po ay nagpatuloy at siya po ay dumaan sa 10-day suspension. Hindi po ibig sabihin na hindi po siya dumaan sa proseso ng pagdidisiplina.
Sa makatuwid, kung ikaw ay commentator, hindi ka napapaloob sa kahit na anong authority. Kahit na ano, pwede mong sabihin, Mr. Chair. Ganun ang intindi ko po sa sinasabi ninyo. Kasi kapag correspondent ka or news anchor, ikaw ay mayroong nire-reportan na editorial authority at mayroong rules. Kapag commentator ka, there's no such thing. So ang ibig sabihin nun, pag malasin ka at nag-intervene ang Kongreso, saka ka lang paparusahan. So, can you imagine, Mr. Chair? Ang hirap naman, di ba? Napupunta sa atin ang burden ng ganitong sitwasyon, di ba? Na hindi naman yata pwede yan, di ba? So, tama ba na walang standards para sa commentator?
Mr. Chair, can I answer the Honorable Kimbo? Yes. Mr. Chairman, ang nire-refer po kasi doon sa binasa nyo kanina, doon po sa staff ng News and Public Affairs Department, no? Reporters, correspondents. With respect to anchors or talents, sila po ay subject pa rin sa provisions which are provided in their separate contracts. Yung pagdisiplina, halimbawa may violation sila sa franchise, abay, siyempre, kinakailangan dumaan sila sa pagdisiplina. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng investigasyon. Hindi nangangahulugan na hindi po sila subject to disciplinary action, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sonza, with pag-igo, hindi man natin pwedeng hingin lahat ng mga kontrata ng lahat ng mga talents ninyo. Pero pag-igo, I think they're all airing under one program, under one network. So I'm pretty sure that everybody toes the line with one set of rules. Na yun yung hindi ko maintindihan by all of a sudden. Di pag ganun pala, pag meron kang titirahin, tawagin mo lang commentator para iwas pusoy na lang ang SMNI o any network for that nature. Hindi ho pwede. You know, you cannot hide under that like yung mga disclaimer. Parang sabi na pag ang isang network, kunyari, Channel 7, eh may disclaimer kami dyan, kaya hindi pwedeng habulin MTRCB ang sasabihin ito. Hindi naman ho pwede yun. Diba? I mean, you know, you cannot hide under this. And somehow, we cannot also, it's hard to comprehend, yung siya sabi ni Congresswoman Kimbo na how can you have a different set of rules sa commentator at sa news reporters? Parang ang baba naman ang tingin natin sa mga commentator. Pag ganyan ho ang gawin ho niya.
Hindi ho.
Kasi ho, ang gagawin nyo, libre zone ang gagawin nila. Gawin nyo na kung anong gusto nyo gawin dahil hindi naman kayo covered ng manual. Ba't pa kayo nagpakita ng manual? Ang pinag-uusapan si Ka Eric. Tapos nagbigay kayo ng manual na ito yung proseso namin. Tapos now you tell us, it does not refer to Ka Eric. Pwede ba yun? Diba, yun yung basihan ng usapan yung kaya nga humingi ho ng manual. Mabuti ho maging klaro naman po tayo.
Opo. Klaro naman po.
Opo.
Hindi po
ako
sanay kayo sa kalakaran sa industriya. Mas mabigat ho ang pagdisiplina sa talent and anchor kaysa doon sa mga regular correspondent, reporters, writers. Doon ho sa mga nagtrabaho sa industriya, naintindihan po nila 'yon. Kasi ang talent at immediately pwedeng tanggalin niyo sila sa trabaho sa kontrata nila eh. Oh. Hindi katulad sa dadahan ho talaga sa proseso kasi hindi kaya nga po, kaya ako tinutuwid.
Meron po kayong rules pagdating po sa reporter, pero pag correspondents, pero pagdating sa commentators, wala. Kasi nung kakasabi lang ho kanina ng operations, which, you know, tapos binigyan nyo ng 10-day suspension. Bakit nyo binigyan ng 10-day suspension? Wala naman pala siyang hindi pala siya covered dun sa manual nyo. I mean, it does not make sense. And that's what Congressman Daso was saying earlier. Na, you know, the more you have to be very careful kasi you're now kind of contradicting each other. No? So, mag-ingat lang po tayo dun sa mga kasi syempre, we would like to discuss this and we are trying to understand how you operate. No? And the Honorable Kimbo, who has attended all the hearings of this committee, has always been fair in her assessment and has always been objective in her questions. So, the Honorable Kimbo, you still have the floor, if you still have any.
Well, actually, Mr. Chair, gusto ko po sana magtanong dito tungkol sa kanilang Code of Ethics. Pero sa totoo lang po, walang gana na po, di ba? Kasi magpapalusot lang naman po, di ba? Kung ganito yung rule, ang sasabihin lang naman, papalitan lang naman ng tawag dun sa imbis na commentator, imbis na reporter or news anchor, na tawaging commentator. Hindi naman pala Code of Ethics ito kung hindi cheat code. Wag na lang po. Thank you na lang po. I will just yield to the next. Thank you po, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Stella Kimbo. The Honorable Tina Panchos, recognized from Bulacan.
Mr. Chair, makikita po natin na in any company, there's always a chain of command. So pag nag-utos ka, dire-diretso yun, responsible ka to whatever action ng tao mo. Pero nakikita po natin dito na parang hindi po nasusunod yung chain of command natin eh. So siguro po one of the suggestions lang po natin na siguro next time when we grant o give franchise to any company, siguro yung disclaimer tanggalin na po natin. Kasi pagdating po sa pagpapalabas, pag pumapasok ka advertisement, kumikita, everybody is happy. Pero pag nakasira ka na ng image ng tao, para bang, oops, teka, kayo lang yan. May disclaimer kami. So siguro next time, Mr. Chair, review natin na tanggalin na po yun.
Opo.
Thank you po,
Well,
Mr. Chair.
I know sa mga major networks, so hindi ho talaga papayagan niya. Mas ganun tawag sa'yo. Whether reporter ka, field reporter, news anchor, correspondent, hindi ho pa pwede lahat yan. Yung they follow one rule. And the rule of truth. So, you know, I thank you very much, Honorable Tina Pancho. If there's no other member that would like to speak, okay. Anyway, your attendance is already in the floor, no?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
the Honorable Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, sinasabi kanina, no, yung nasuspend lang ay yung free air. Pero the same content
Mm.
pa rin, yung ini-air nila,
Mm.
sabi ni, to follow lang, no, yung ating kasama si Kong Gutierrez. The same content, walang pagbabago. Yung ginagawa noong sa free air na ginagawa nung Celis at saka nung Badoy, at saka sa online, at saka doon sa free air, Mr. Chair. Kaya parang mini-misrepresent nila, no? Yung by continuing these programs through SOCMED, okay lang, parang sinasabi ni Kong Pancho, basta kumikita, okay lang, sige lang. Tuloy-tuloy lang kayo kung ano yung sinasabi. Basta tanggap yan ng mga trolls, tanggap yan ng mga nagbabayad sa atin. So parang ganun eh. Wala ba talaga, Mr. Chair, na parang control tayo? Halimbawa, meron ba tayong magagawa halimbawa sa NTC? Kasi ang NTC po, Mr. Chair, alam ko nag-cancel po kayo or nag-suspend po kayo ng website. Tama? Na mga alternative media. Alam ko may ganun po kayong ganun po kayong ginawa. So, halimbawa sa ganito po, wala po ba kayong control doon sa website, halimbawa nitong SMNI na the same pa rin naman po yung content na katulad ng nirereklamo nating red tagging, disinformation, maligning, the reputation ng mga individual. So, ano po ba yung magagawa doon ng NTC, Mr. Chair? Kahit na suspended na yung free airs, kahit na suspended na parang wala silang pakialam. Kahit na suspended kami anyway, andyan na social media, lahat ng mga platform na pwede naming pagpuntahan para magsalita. Na sila dapat ay may control doon sa kanilang no? Sinasabi nila yung mga talents nila na binabayaran nila. So, ngayon sabihin nila wala silang So, meron po ba, Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Insofar as that yung concern po na yon, we had a preliminary discussion with the MTRCB and we were advised that yung suspension order po nila includes not only the free to air but on other platforms. So if that is the case, Your Honor, should the MTRCB decide to endorse that suspension order to the NTC for suspension on other platforms, perhaps the NTC can consider that, Mr. Chair.
So, ano pong sagot doon ng MTC? Kasi
MTRCB.
MTRCB kasi parang pinapasa ng
MTRCB.
TV yung MTRCB. By the way, ito po bang DZAR 1026 saka yung ito yung radio nila. Suspended din po ba 'yon, NTC?
Yes, Your Honor. Kasama po.
Okay. So, MTRCB na lang, Mr. Chair.
Yes po, if I may, if the MTRCB decided to suspend or cancel a program in all kinds of media platforms, and said decision is final and executory, we can endorse it to the NTC in order for them to assist us in implementation of said decision.
So, minomonitor nyo po ba yung iba pang mga platforms? Halimbawa, kasi ito, meron na mga po siyang suspension dahil nga sa mga disinformation, red tagging, at saka yung topic natin ngayon,
Yes po.
doon sa bakit kailangan ba or hindi i-revoke yung kanilang franchise. Pero ano po yung ginagawa? Do we need to have yung complaint pa or yung mandate ninyo ay continuing yung pagmo-monitor?
Upon implementation po, kapag may final and executory decision na po kami, our monitoring and inspection unit po, they make sure po, they monitor if nag-air pa din po yung movie or TV program na yan. But honestly po, currently we are amending our charter to include online on-demand online applications as well as streaming applications po, social and other social media platforms to be under our jurisdiction.
Okay. So, sige, yun lang Mr. Chair, makakaasa tayo, no? Dado sa monitoring ng other platform based doon sa amendment ng inyong sa mandates. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Tina Pancho, the Honorable, yes.
Mr. Chair, if you still remember Rendon Labrador, yung sa Facebook, marami siyang inawit kinagalit eh. Inalis po siya ng Facebook eh. Maybe we can ask Facebook or TikTok, any resource person from TikTok and Facebook, na ma-invite po natin na kung ano yung guidelines po
Okay.
nila.
Pag-usapan
Kasi
po natin sa ibang.
remember Rendon Labrador, inaway si Vice Ganda and other celebrities, kinatche eh.
Okay.
May disciplinary action.
Sige, pag-usapan
Thank you,
natin.
Mr.
Maybe we can look at legislation for that. Yes, the Honorable Kimbo.
Yes,
Again,
habol question.
before I go to the last,
Yes,
yes.
to the NTC. May we
NTC.
Yes, may we know how many orders you have issued so far to the SMNI with respect to this issue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, insofar as this issue is concerned, the NTC has issued 2 orders relative to this, and the others are resolutions of their motions. So, ito na po yung mga na-issue ng NTC relative to,
So how many issuances?
I think,
total?
2 orders and 2 resolutions, so all in all, 4.
And
Mr.
the
Chair.
resolutions are, can you tell us what the resolutions are about?
The resolution on the motion to inhibit, and also the resolution on the motion for the bill of particulars, Your Honor.